Jambo ma Africa, mimi ni King, nina furaha kukutana na wewe. Asante kwa kutazama King Said So. Ladies and gentlemen, we South Africans are special. We special. We are very good in complaining in any scenario. In 1993, the 10th of April, I believe, Chris Hani, one of the heroes of South African people, was assassinated in front of his house. We knew who assassinated him. We did nothing. When we went into negotiation for the government, we never negotiated for that man to be unalived. Before that, South Africans were unalived by hanging. The apartheid government was hanging black people, executing them, death penalties. Our negotiation team never felt like negotiating that. Listen, even if we go to democracy and we go to elections, this man must not live to see the day of that democracy. He lived. He went to prison. Janus Walus, the man who assassinated Chris Hani. No black South African prisoner felt an obligation to protect us as African, the dignity of us as African. Janus Walus went a step further, tearing and stabbing a picture of Nelson Mandela in his room and tearing it into pieces, showing absolutely no remorse. And that was what the wife of Chris Hani was saying, that this man has shown no remorse to what he did. The Communist Party pretended as if they cared, but they did nothing physically. And we as South Africans, we failed Madimpo Hani by when we were told a day before that this man will be deported back to his country. We did nothing. None of us got in our cars and went to the airport. We did absolutely nothing. We just came here and did videos on TikTok, videos on SABC, videos on YouTube. We did absolutely nothing. Now, to wrap it even further, the ENCA has went overseas to go and interview this man. And this man, I believe he said, I would do it again. It was racially motivated. It was a political killing. Wow.
Welcome to King Said So, Africa's one land, one language, one currency, one army on King Said So. Africans can unite. Your Pan-Africanist podcast. Enjoy.
The economic freedom fighters is disturbed by the diabolical, cynical, and harmful release of Janus Walus, the murderer of anti-apartheid hero Chris Hani. His release comes after the decision by the Constitutional Court to grant parole to Walus, a Polish right-winger who took South Africa to the brink of civil war in the eve of democracy in 1993. We condemn Walus' release as it is abhorrent and shows scant regard to the nature of the crime that was committed by this murderous maniac. Janus Walus not only killed a man, but his bullet also shattered the hopes of millions of our people and almost pushed this country into war. His killing of Hani was an assassination of the very idea of freedom itself. And the killing of Hani was not merely murder, it was treasonous. For this, Walus has not even once shown remorse. He has not divulged the identities of the people he worked with, and he is likely to pursue his destructive right-wing ideals upon his release. His release marks the ultimate victory of right-wing fundamentalism over the needs and aspirations of the majority of our people. It marks the hollowness of our constitutional democracy and also reveals the susceptibility to abuse by racists and white supremacists of our judiciary. This is enabled by judges who have no intellectual sophistication to appreciate the fragility of our history and our present reality. A rigid interpretation of the law without regard to the context within which the laws were made and are interpreted will soon push this country over the cliff and into a pit of despair from which it will be difficult to emerge. When the Constitutional Court sanctioned his release, it did not take into account the views of Comrade Hani's family or the people of this country to whom Hani was an important leader. They did not consider whether Walus is rehabilitated or not, nor did they consider his lack of remorse for the murder of Comrade Hani. Walus' release is an important marker of a right-wing turn by the judiciary that should concern all of us. Over the past while, the courts, particularly the Constitutional Court, have been making some outrageous decisions that favor the establishment and those who have captured our judiciary, and even the blacks they have captured, condemning the majority and their aspirations to the continued malignment and exploitation by this judiciary.
Peace in Pan-Africanism to all my African brothers and sisters from all around the world. Welcome back to King Said So. I'm your host, Kagiso Hlongwane Zinjiva Sono, and we're back at it again with another one. And this time around, we're talking Janus Walus, the man who assassinated Chris Hani. Hey, yeah, South Africa. Like a wise man once asked, what can anger South Africans? You can take their land, they will smile with you. You can take their farms, they will smile with them. You can hang their heroes, they will smile with you. South Africans, you can assassinate their heroes in front of their house, they will smile and live happily ever after with you. South Africans, you can manipulate their currency, they will smile with you. South Africans, you can manipulate and rig their elections, they will smile with you. You can release their heroes, the people that assassinated their heroes. South Africans will smile with you. South Africans don't care about those type of things. And somebody has to say it like that. I know there is a minority of us who would give a day to be in a cell with that man. But unfortunately, we have no patrioticness towards our country, towards our heritage, and towards our heroes. Nithi why nama-Dutch banhlula so emhlabeni wenu elizweni. Laba bavele Dutch, they are very patriotic, Shem. They are very patriotic. Abadlali. Tina, we are just spectators in our country. I've once said there's a difference between South Africa and South Africans. Because some South Africans don't live in South Africa. But some foreigners, some settlers are living in South Africa while we are watching them blossom and do great in front of our presence. The inequality in South Africa is crazy. Now, we have an issue because it's too late to cry now. This video is just a waste of time. It's too late to cry now. This man was in prison for 29 years. Asimenzanga Luto. 29 years. I look at Panti tell you one and I think that one for Chris Hani. Aliko I Bavarden. Nobody felt obligated to correct history. Angazi ukuthi uyangithola na uyangitolerator or uzongitolerator ngikhathali. Nobody felt to do anything. So ENCA is going to rub it, of course, in our face. They're going to fly all the way there and go and interview this man. And this is the interview as I'm watching it with you guys.
Is there anybody that you feel you're protecting? Because it sounds like you are.
I'm protecting in the meaning. I know those people haven't had any kind of dealing with the assassination of Chris Hani. And that's what I promise you on the beginning. I will disclose any relevant information. It's not relevant the name of the people with whom I am dealing about completely different things.
Fair enough. But the link to military intelligence, it would mean that people would want to join the dots.
As I explained you, I didn't want to feel obliged about doing anything which I'm not feeling to do.
When you were arrested and you were interrogated by security personnel of the National Party, did they offer you any assurances that you could maybe escape some kind of prosecution?
That was certain hints to tell me to state witness and things like that about regarding Clive and but I simply refused it point blank.
Were you surprised when the head of the police communications at the time said very quickly that you were a lone wolf, that you acted alone.
I haven't been aware of this statement, but if I would be very happy to hear that I'm alone. And later on, it was for me the worst part that I involved Clive in the thing.
Answer the question, please. Did you, during your discussions and decisions to become murderers, didn't you give serious consideration that there may have been another way to the country's problems? That is the political solution that Cossack and its leaders were trying to bring about.
Panie Przewodniczący,
Mr.
tak
Chairman,
jak zaznaczyłem,
as I
ja nie
mentioned,
widziałem już innej drogi.
I haven't seen any other way at that time.
The TRC concluded and didn't grant you amnesty because it said you hadn't made full disclosure.
Not only. First reason it was not political.
How do you feel about that?
How can I feel? It was travesty of justice.
And you feel it was only political?
I feel it was only political. I haven't got any personal gains from that. And I haven't got any personal animosities, towards the victim.
He had absolutely no personal gains, and he had no personal agnosticity is against Chris Hani. He had nothing personal against Chris Hani. This is what this man said. And the problem with this is that some of Africans are waiting for this man to point out black leaders that were involved in this assassination. Some of you don't want to believe that there is no black person that was involved in this assassination. How many times have we said, yeah, maybe some people know why Chris Hani was killed? We don't want, this guy has got absolutely no reason whatsoever to protect African people. He's a racist and he acts on his racism. He analyzed Chris Hani because of political reason and because of racism. And he's saying, I did not involve anyone. He says, I have a remorse for involving Clive in this thing. Because he's the one that pulled the trigger. What are we deported this man back to his country. It's over now. Can make all the noise that we want. Probably after this interview. The issue with me is that I don't have DSTV, so I don't know. I saw some people who watched it are writing. He said, I would do it again. I would do it again. If he said that,